Morning. How are you guys doing? That was like so pathetic. Seriously? I've been up for like 4 hours. How are you guys doing? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you so much, Gloria and Natasha. I'm so happy that you guys are going to take us through the next 3 days. I think we're in for a treat. Yeah, hopefully we can just match their energy for the next 3 days. So welcome again. It's so great to see so many of you, so many more than ever before, frankly. 4 years ago, we had our first leadership summit, and it looked a little bit different than it does today. Were any of you with us in 2012? Ooh, I see some hands, and I see Monique Coleman over there. Monique is a true champion for Girl Up. She has been at every single Girl Up Leadership Summit. How about a round of applause for her? Our first summit had about 80 girls, and it was one day in March. Today, there are more than 225 of you. And you already heard this from Gloria and Natasha, but you're from 29 states. That's over 2/3. That's awesome. DC, almost 10 countries. It's so phenomenal to see how much this campaign has grown. And actually, every year when I get to stand up here and this room grows, it's very evident how far we've come in the last 5 years. So it's also really great to see all the familiar faces. How many of you have been to a leadership summit before? Okay, so those of you who don't have your hand up, can you stand up for me? If you did not raise your hand, if this is your first leadership summit, wow. How about a huge welcome to all of our new friends? We're so happy to have you. You guys can have a seat. So this is a big year for Girl Up. This fall, we will celebrate our 5th anniversary. 5 years of uniting girls to change the world. 5 years of inspiring the world with every action you take and every dollar you raise. I've been feeling nostalgic preparing for this year's summit, thinking over the amazing moments of the last 5 years of the campaign and the 4 years that I've been lucky enough to be a part of this. How many of you have ever been asked, why Girl Up? Your friends, your teachers, classmates, random people at events, probably on the airplane on the way here. I bet you all get that question quite a bit. I know I do. Most of the time, I just tell people about you guys. I tell them about the work we do. I tell them why the world should value girls. I tell them all the things you all already know. But as I prepared for today, I really thought about what I wanted to share with you. And by the way, I'm going to be talking for like 8 more minutes, so just bear with me. It's a long time. I really sat and reflected about why I joined Girl Up. I grew up in a small town in Illinois, and I didn't have Girl Up back then. I didn't have Facebook. I did have the internet, don't worry. And actually, I think at the time, AOL had just come out with a totally awesome instant messenger that was about the coolest thing ever my senior year of high school. I'm definitely aging myself, you can all guess now. But I didn't really grow up around diversity, and I couldn't scroll through my social media and read about events happening in Africa and India and Guatemala. I didn't know what was happening to girls around the world. I wish I would have had Girl Up 20 years ago. Luckily, I have Girl Up today, and so do you all. And as I tried to answer the question of why Girl Up, why me, I dug deeper. I went back to my high school. I went all the way back to my middle school. And I thought a lot about education. I thought a lot about what it was like for me to be in school in that time, when I was your guys' age. We all already know how lucky we are to have the right to an education. And most of us here in the U.S. have a pretty good education. When I was in middle school, that education was a safety net for me. Knowing and loving to read was an escape. You are all smart girls who work really hard. I know it. I was smart. I was also really loud. Big surprise. I knew the answers. I raised my hand all the time. I was like this girl, like, pick me, pick me. I still am that girl. But I'll tell you what, that didn't make me the most popular girl in school. Not even close. Probably the opposite. The boys didn't like it very much when I did that. And the girls that I wanted to be friends with, well, they liked the boys. So it was a bit hard. I struggled with bullying pretty badly. I don't know, maybe some of you experienced that. I hope not, but I know it happens. There were many Friday nights when I was home alone, and I knew there were sleepovers happening without me. There were many days at school when there was no seat at the lunch table, even though there were empty chairs. And many nights where I woke up the next morning to a house covered in toilet paper. So those nights, when I was alone, I escaped into books. I found a place to go to, a world to dream of that wasn't my bedroom on a Friday night, alone, hoping that I would get invited the next time. And I kept raising my hand in class. I kept telling myself, I'm smart. I know these answers. I want to know even more answers. And I decided not to shy away from being confident in that. Honestly, it was the only thing I did feel confident in at the time. When I think about girls around the world who don't know how to read, who can't gain the confidence and sense of self that comes from learning, when they can't open a book and escape from their reality, whether a refugee camp, an early marriage, a violent household, or that group of mean girls, my heart breaks wide open. I don't know how I would have gotten through middle school without that. And I want every girl, everywhere, to have that. To know they are smart, that they can learn and overcome and be whoever they want to be, even the director of Girl Up. We are Girl Up. I am Girl Up. The team of staff running around today and making this week happen are Girl Up. The girls in refugee camps in Ethiopia, living in northern India, the slums of Liberia, the Girl Up clubs in Rwanda, Australia, Montana, New York City, we are all Girl Up. Over the past 5 years, we've seen this campaign grow. From our first teen advisors to our first clubs to regional coalitions, now we've got campus leaders and international clubs. I've seen girls travel halfway across the world to learn the hopes and dreams of other girls just like them. I got to see Annie and Sophia connect with Ruth and Hilda in Guatemala. I've seen girls on Google Hangouts connect over basketball and soccer, and boys. And I saw Karina lead a group of girls from 21 countries through a discussion on girl-led leadership all the way over in Russia. Last March, Rocio, Monique, and I went to Ethiopia. We spent 3 days visiting refugee camps. In Jijiga, Girl Up funds girls' education programs, but it's illegal for refugees to work there. We spent a lot of time on that trip trying to understand why education is still so important, even if there might not be a job on the other end of that. Well, we witnessed firsthand the same thing that I experienced in middle school. The girls we met who were in school, learning, excelling, had such light, such confidence, such hope, and sense of self. We met the girls who weren't in school, and it just wasn't the same. Some were married, some took care of their siblings. They were having a hard time, really struggling with being refugees. They didn't have that hope. And I realized on that trip, education equals hope. And at Girl Up, we inspire hope. And that hope is growing. And it's incredible. We were just a blip on the radar when we started. We were talking about issues no one was talking about. And we were doing it in a way no one was doing it because we were talking to you. And look at what you've done. You got child marriage language in the Violence Against Women Act 3 years ago. You just got the Girls Count Act signed into law. Woo-woo. You've funded education, health, safety, leadership, birth registrations for thousands of girls around the world. And as Natasha and Gloria said, just last week, we registered our 1,000th club. I have to tell you, that was our goal for the year of 2015, and it's July. So we need to up our business plan goals, team, because that is phenomenal. And we did this together. And you know what? That is awesome, and we totally rock, and please give yourselves a round of applause. So we had some pretty incredible partners along the way. Our founding partners who were there with us from the beginning, Viacom, Girl Rising, the National Coalition of Girls Schools, the WNBA, Girls Inc., and many others. And we have 2 key strategic partners who have come along in the last couple of years, really ensuring that we could have this growth. Caterpillar Foundation and Angelica Fuentes. We also recently launched a new partnership with AOL Foundation, and I absolutely want to thank the sponsors of this year's summit. Caterpillar, the W Hotel, Simrise, UNFCU, and Beyond Right and Wrong. To all of you, all of our partners, most of you who are here, thank you so much. Ladies, can you help me thank them? Okay, so you all may be wondering what's next. I think about that a lot. We have a lot of exciting things planned for later this year, and then the next 5 years, and then the next 5 years after that. I've talked about education a lot in, let's say, the last 8 minutes or so. There's a reason. We all know that adolescent girls around the world are too often not registered at birth. And we know that without being registered, these girls are not able to go to school. Now that we've made huge strides towards helping all girls be counted, let's turn our attention to the next step. And let's make sure that all girls everywhere are able to receive an education. How does that sound? Yeah? There is a huge refugee crisis going on in the world today. We know girls are vulnerable to a lot of challenging situations. Refugee girls are even more vulnerable. And one of the first things to go when you have to prioritize funding is girls' education. So we want to make sure all girls, especially the most vulnerable, have access to education. And we want the U.S. government to take a leadership role on this issue. We'll be telling Congress this on Wednesday. And you'll hear more from Julie and Anuki on this tomorrow. We also have a pretty special speaker tomorrow. I'm not sure if you've heard the rumors. So back in March, we joined the First Lady's Let Girls Learn initiative. We stood up and said, yes, we will join you. We've been working on education already, so it really made good sense. Besides, who says no to Michelle Obama? Seriously? Was I supposed to say no to that? I don't think so. We're going to hear so much more about this tomorrow from her, from an amazing panel, later on from Anuki and Julie on how we're going to take this to Hill. But I will tell you now also, we're going to do a lot more to fundraise for education for girls. And we hope you and your clubs will join our goal to raise $50,000 over the next year for Let Girls Learn. You guys feel up for that? We've got the First Lady coming tomorrow. We need to do this for her. You guys ready? Yeah, great. So education is definitely a theme for us for the rest of this year. There's another big thing happening too. The world will vote on a new set of global goals to continue the great work of the Millennium Development Goals, the MDGs, that expire at the end of this year. We will hear a lot more about these sustainable development goals tomorrow, but I want you to know these goals are great for girls, and girls are included in the global agenda for the first time. If these goals are realized, the world in 2030 will look a lot better for girls, and that is great news for all of us. We want to do our part to support the United Nations to work to hold countries everywhere accountable to implementing the tactics we'll need to achieve these goals. And these goals are completely inclusive of the issues we care so much about at Girl Up. Stay tuned for more, and you'll find out what you can do to make sure everyone knows about the goals that are coming. And the last thing that I want to share with you today, the thing that makes me so excited, is what I see for the future of Girl Up. Did you know that Girl Up has almost 500,000 supporters? And did you know that of those 1,000 clubs that have started since 2010, they're in 66 countries outside of the U.S.? We have 2 teen advisors from outside of the United States. Thandoe, I don't know where you are, if you want to wave, whoop, whoop, from Belize. And this year's newest class, Sarah Gully from New Zealand. Raise your hand. Up high. This is a global movement. These are global issues. We know that girls have the same hopes and dreams no matter where they are born in the world. And we want to bring this movement to every girl everywhere. And as we speak, we're working to figure out exactly how we will do this. How does that sound to you all? I hope you're ready to join me because we want to truly unite girls to change the world. So last, I want to leave you with a challenge for this week. I have 3 things I want you to keep in mind. And I'm going to check back in with you tomorrow afternoon and see how this is going. So first, I want you to make at least 5 new friends. There's a lot of people in this room and a lot of people at your table, so that should be fairly easy. We all have a shared passion, and we want to help the hardest to reach girls living in the places it's hardest to be a girl. Take this opportunity and get to know new people. You might just meet your new lifelong friends. Second, I'm going to reiterate what Gloria and Natasha said. Please take pictures, document, tweet, Snapchat, share what's happening here. This is only going to help us spread the word and grow Girl Up to be even bigger. And remember, use the hashtag GirlsLead15. Especially tomorrow morning when the First Lady's here. We're going to try to trend, do all those things, take over social media. I think we can do it. And then lastly, step out of your comfort zone in the next couple days. Challenge yourself in a place where you have the support and you're surrounded by friends. Start a Girl Up club. Put those plans in place. Take a fundraising challenge or something else. Because if not now, when? Have a wonderful time during the summit. Thank you all so much for being a part of Girl Up. Without you, Girl Up would be nothing. Thank you, guys.